welcome back to the Abiding CEO podcast where faith meets business. It's me, Betsy, your host, your coach, your mental health therapist, and I am here with a good friend, Sharon Tooson. Sharon does so much that I'm really going to let her introduce herself. She is a serial entrepreneur. So this is going to be interesting. Sharon, say hi.
Hello, everyone. How are you this afternoon?
Great, great, great. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all.
Of course, the last time I saw you go live, I was like, oh, I got to invite her on the show. So talking about going live, tell us a little bit about that business, the thrifting.
Okay. So I guess I'll introduce a little bit of myself as well before I go into the whole thrifting scene. My name is Sharon Tooson, and I always give it the order of how I feel my life goes. I am a child of God. I am a wife, a mother, and a serial entrepreneur. So in that of my 55 years on the earth, I'm blessed with so many talents that God has given me, and I'm so thankful for each and every one of them. It's always interesting to see how God moves in your life and how different seasons of life take you to different stages. And he just grows you in those different stages. So just to backpedal, the first of my entrepreneurship started with writing, and the love for writing started for me when I was about 7 or 8. And I just wanted to write a book. I would take pieces of loose leaf paper, tie them together with string, and make little books, me and my girlfriend, who is also an author now as well. And so we kind of bonded on that. And in later years, I just found life experiences that God had taken me through that he said, you need to share this with others who are in the struggle. The first book I wrote was about unfulfilled desires, lessons to finding your father's love, and how God guided me through negative relationships, abusive relationships. The lack of having a father full time in my life led me to very promiscuous and bad ways with men. And those are the experiences that I shared in the first book. The second book was about dreams, and God has given me a gift of analyzing dreams. And so in that book, I kind of discuss a little bit of my dreams and interpretations and how you can learn that God is speaking very clearly in each of your dreams. So that was the basis. I still do this. I still help others publish their books. And it is just a joy to see others put their work and share their life experiences of what God has given them. So that is still a first love for me as well. My second love is thrifting, and it is such a fun thing. OMG. I can't even tell you where it started, Betsy. It's so funny because my mom, back when I was probably 8 or 9, used to drag me to thrift stores all over. We lived in Long Island, New York, and that's where I'm from originally. And so we would go thrift stores and she would buy stuff and this and that. And I was like, oh, here we go. But as I got older, I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I found myself getting little apartments and needing stuff, and I would buy stuff here and there. It wasn't until the pandemic hit in 2020 that a very dear friend of mine that I went to high school with had a business where she sold purses. And this thing came about on Facebook where you would go live and sell the clothing or your jewelry or whatever. And people would come on and bid on the items, and you would purchase whatever you got approved, got bidded on if you won the bid. And so I started watching her, and I was buying stuff from her. She was selling some cute stuff, cute clothes. And I was like, okay, I still would go to the thrift store on my own. So my husband's like, you're always watching these lives. Every night you're watching these lives. I'm like, I know. I said, I think I want to go live. I think I want to do this. After about a year of buying stuff from her. So I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And the first time I went live, it's incredible. So what you do is you source items from thrift stores. You try to figure out what the audience is, whether they're plus size, middle size, mid-aged. All of those, factors play into what you source. And you go in and you put a price tag on it. So if you want to obviously make a profit up, if you buy it for $3, you want to sell it for $7, maybe, or $6 or whatever. But keeping it reasonable. My quest in shopping is to make it reasonable. My store is called Fabulous Finds by Sharon, where fabulous finds and fabulous prices. It's just, I'm not going to break your bank. I'm trying to keep it very reasonable. You're going to look classy. You're going to look good in whatever you thrift in. I'm in a thrifted top now. It's just what I do.
That's so cool. Sharon, tell me about when you first started going live. Only because there is this preparation stage, and then when it's time to show up, I don't know about you, but for me, like the nerves kind of kick in, you start second guessing, and how did you press through that? Did you even experience that?
I did and I didn't. I think the prompting of being an author and also doing public speaking really gave me that edge of like, okay, you're going to be in front of people. But now I was behind a screen, not necessarily in front of a live people who I could touch
Yeah.
physically. So it was like, okay, I'm on a screen. So it didn't feel as heavy as it would as if I were in person with a room full of people where you
Uh-huh.
would like, oh my God, there's 100 people here. So the first time I went live, it was like, okay, you got to have the light, you got to have the ring light ready, you got to have your background, you got to have your rack all stacked off to the side
Uh,
here, ready to pull it out and show everything. And you're like a QVC is what it is. You're just showing your items. Does it have stretch? Does it have this? And you want to make sure the clothes are prepared nicely and sitting beautifully on the rack. So I recently looked back at my first live and I was like, oh my God, what a disaster.
uh-huh.
I was
Yeah.
just the wires were all over the place. There was stuff everywhere. And as you grow, you polish yourself. You watch yourself after the live. But I was a little bit jittery. I was like, nobody's gonna buy anything. They're not gonna like what I have. And I think the first show I did, my husband assisted me. He was behind the scenes, kind of handing me the numbers. It's number 55 if you want this one. It's number 20. And so the end of the live we finished, and I think I made $250 maybe at the first on the first one. And he was like, that's good for 1 hour, which is good money. And
Yeah.
as I grew and understood what the audience needed is I started adding items on my rack that were more of what they were looking for. And it grew from, it can go anywhere from 200 minimum to 1,000, 2,500. And within an hour and 2 hours, you can make this kind of money. And it's just an excellent supplemental income. I get to do it in the beauty of my own home. There's no overhead, and it's just fun. It's a therapy of shopping therapy for myself.
Okay. That does sound like fun. And I take it somehow they make requests and that's how you know what sizes and style. Because you kept saying knowing
Yes.
your audience.
Yeah, so a lot of there's several platforms out on Facebook and Instagram and throughout
Mhm.
that you'll know that some of the platforms have just a lot of plus, what we call plus divas. So that's going to be
Okay.
large all the way up to 4X. There are some that are just in that mid-range where they're small, medium, large, and extra large. And so you start to kind of learn those platforms to go on where to sell your items. As I grew my customer base, I knew that Angela was a 2X. I knew that Miss Audrey was a 1X. And so I've learned my people. And so I'm like, okay, and these are the colors they like. They like bright colors. They like camo stuff.
Mhm.
They like dusters. I've actually been coined the duster queen because I have been finding beautiful dusters. In fact, Dawn, who you work with, has bought a couple of dusters from me as well.
Okay.
So she's been
Okay.
shopping on my
Yes.
lives, which is very cool.
Yes. I bet she
But
has.
dusters, I like dusters because they're one size fits everyone, whether you're small, medium, or extra large or plus plus. Yes, there you go.
I'm wearing them right now with flowers.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
love
And
these things.
they're great to throw over if you're conscious about your arms or your midsection. So I've enjoyed being the duster queen. I've got a new shipment coming in very soon too.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what you learn is what they're looking for, the seasons they're looking
Mhm.
for it in, and just keeping up with. Now I understand why J.C. Penney's, Macy's, they have to go through their inventory change and take out the winter stuff, put it on clearance, take out the summer stuff, put it on clearance when those seasons change. So you're constantly keeping up with the trends of, oh, this is going to be a MLK Day sale. This is going to be an April Fool's Day sale. You're reinventing yourself each and every time you have to go live because last night I went live. It was all about the spring colors. So I called it Color Me Baby sale.
Oh,
And so I had a variety of different colors and rays and just brightness on the screen. And they loved it. They loved
okay. Well, you're really creative and in tune to your audience. And so now I'm gonna go back because then you said your second book was about dreams.
it. Yes.
And now I take it that's a totally different audience. How did you assess that?
So the dream thing has been something that came to me, and I'll tell you this story because it's kind of eerie, but it's
Mhm.
how I learned I had the gift from dreams. When I was in 10th grade, and this is a true story, this part of it, completely true, not a dream. I got to backtrack. I had a dream the weekend before I went to school on the Saturday. I had a dream that my teacher from chemistry just came out and he said, Sharon, when you love someone, you love them from the heart. I was like, that's very common of Dr. Passaretti. He would say something like that. I thought nothing of the dream at all. Monday morning, this is the true part. I get to school and Dr. Passaretti comes out. I'm in his class. He takes attendance and he goes back into his office, which is kind of behind the wall, and he's got a little side office, and he doesn't come back out. And I said, well, and so we go and we're waiting, and everybody's kind of waiting for him to start the lesson. And so someone goes in and they, oh, Dr. Passaretti's sick. He's sick. And so we call the nurse comes in, they take him to the hospital. Dr. Passaretti doesn't make it to the hospital. He dies of a massive heart attack. And having that dream telling me to love someone from the heart, and this man dying of a massive heart attack the day after, almost, I was like, wow, that dream was speaking to me about something that was happening. So I started to really tune into my dreams and start to journal them. And as
Okay.
I understood, okay, this meant, okay, that was something that was speaking, God was speaking that to me about just love people as they are and where they were. That's the lesson I took from. So from there on, I started journaling as many prevalent dreams that I could, understanding kind of the psychology behind dreams as well. That dreams really happen in three stages. They happen from childhood fantasies, they happen from day residue, things that have happened during the course of the day, and they also happen from futuristic or insight that I say is God given.
Amen.
So those are kind of a psychology of it. And as I understood that some of my dreams come up that maybe I was reliving something that happened in childhood that didn't feel so good, or maybe that I questioned, or maybe that I didn't get closure on. Maybe I'm dreaming something currently that I need to understand better about what I need to do with my current life, with my family, with my husband or something. Or maybe that is God is sending me in a different direction.
No, I hear you. I'm big on dreams too, but I
Mhm.
also know sometimes, oh, that's just the stress of the day. And then sometimes it's
Yes,
like, oh no, that's significant. That was
right.
spiritual. God's trying to tell me something. And some dreams have saved me headaches and have been
Yes,
revelatory, right?
yes.
Others are just kind of like, don't know what that's about. I'll share a dream that I had while I was still in corporate, and it had to do with doors and keys. And
Mm,
that was before I even had a group practice. And
mhm,
I honestly believe that it was God letting me know that I was heading in this direction, even though I didn't know what the doors and the keys represented.
mhm,
But it's this ability to train, release, keep, hold, mold, because they were different shapes and sizes.
mm.
And
Okay,
it's like you interview somebody's a good fit or they're not a good fit. You keep them, okay, which hallway do they go in? Which
right.
in our world, at least in the therapy world, it's which office, which location. And
Mhm,
then sometimes it's like, no, it's a no hire. And
okay,
and then sometimes it means nothing,
right,
right? Sometimes you
right.
have a dream and it means nothing.
Mhm. That's true.
I do believe there's a lot of significance. Now, your very first book, it's been years, but I remember reading it and
Mhm.
I remember thinking how vulnerable and transparent you were in that book.
Yes.
Um, Tell me a little bit about how God took you there.
Yeah, that was it was a hard book to write. Having seen the hurt that came upon my son, I was a single mom. I went through my dad had left my mom when I was like 10 or 11.
Mhm,
And so I really struggled with father figures and finding the right image of a man to be in my life.
mhm,
So I went through some really bad relationships, more mentally abusive than physically, I would say. And that really kind of did something to me. And I was like, this is not where God wants me. And somewhere along the line, I joined a church and I really found God speaking to me like, girl, get a grip. Get a grip. And I wrote the books because when I had my son, I was a single mom. His dad didn't want to be a part of our lives. And I saw the hurt that he was feeling. And I was like, this is just too much. Then when I got married, my husband had just recently found his biological father. So it was just like this full circle of things that were happening. And I was like, my
mhm,
dad, my son's dad, my husband's dad. I'm like, there was just so much that was fatherlessness in my life. And I could feel the voids from my husband. I could feel them from my son and from myself. So we were all broken from fatherlessness. And that is what the heart of the Father was. It was that God was like, I am your Father, regardless of your earthly father, whether he was here or not. I will love you. I will cherish you. I will honor you as my own son and my own daughter. And there was no reason to feel the hurt or look for someone else to fulfill that. So that's why I called it unfulfilled desires, because I was fulfilling a desire that was unfillable through
Yeah.
man. It was only fillable through God. And in the book, I take you through steps of lessons to how to find. I give a prayer after each chapter. I really pour out some stuff that's probably not so great to look at me about in a good light, but I
Yeah.
share it because it's like, God delivered me from that. I am not who I was yesterday. And by God's grace, I won't be the same tomorrow because he
Same.
keeps pouring blessings into me. So
Mm.
I just understand that he just moves us and he changes us. And I did it so that the next woman who's a single mom, who is without her dad, whose son is without his father, will be able to resonate in some of those chapters and just say, you know what, she made it, and let me look to God instead of looking to man for my
Mm.
help.
Oh, that's so valuable and such a huge gem. Coincidentally, a couple of weeks ago, I was speaking at a women's breakfast, and I prayed, "Okay, Lord, what do I want to share? What do you want me to say with them?" And it had to do with that. So
Mm,
I did like a combination of attachment theory
mhm,
with scripture and just explain like the insecure attachments versus the
okay,
secure attachment, and
yes,
how a lot of times whatever our earthly experience was from that 0 to 5
mhm,
shapes how we relate to everyone throughout life. And
absolutely,
then we put God in this box and relate to him the same way.
mhm,
So
yes,
if you tend to have the avoidance style, you might trust yourself more than you trust God. And so it's a challenge to look at him as someone who cares and that you can go to, because you're so
yes,
self-sufficient. If you're anxious, you don't even know if you're saved because you're
mhm,
always second guessing your relationship with God. If you're
exactly,
disorganized, forget about it, right? It takes extra effort. Maybe one week you're in love with God, the next week you're not, versus he's trying to tell you,
yes,
I'm
yes,
here. I'll never leave you. I won't forsake you.
yes,
I'm
yes,
for you. You can trust me. You're safe. And then healing all those wounds that some of us have more than others
mhm,
from childhood, and then there are no perfect parents in this fallen world.
that's true,
So I think there's so much to glean from that.
absolutely. And
And
those wounds
especially the
take
role of the father. Go ahead.
Yes, and those wounds take so much time to heal that you have to really allow God's grace to be with you in that healing. Like
Mhm.
I'm still healing from it.
Mhm.
I'm healing from new wounds. So my dad, I feel like I made peace with him before he passed away.
Mhm.
And then, my brother passed away, who was like a father to me very recently here in
Yeah.
September, he passed. And so those broken pieces still are there. And I just ask God to sort of help me pull them together, help that heart to continue to heal, because man will always break your heart, but God can always heal.
Okay. Okay. Beautiful. Wonderful. Okay. So now flipping up back to business and entrepreneurship. And like you shared, you're an author, you're a speaker, you're a thrifter. I'm not sure what you call that, but you have your virtual boutique.
Yes.
Um, what's an obstacle you've faced that God helped you overcome?
Hmm. I think the biggest obstacle is probably balance. And I'm really good about customer service and really good about helping people. I don't know how to put this. Let me see if I can best find the words that would
Yeah.
best. The
Okay.
challenge
Take your
is
time.
always, yeah, the challenge is customer service. It always is, because you want to please as many people as you can, and you just can't. If I buy clothing that's all small, medium, large, then the X, 2X, 3X are like, well, why do you need to get our size? If I only buy X, 2X, then the small, mediums are bad. So it's that balance and finding where I can say, all right, I know this is the most profitable size for me to buy. If they want it, then we'll have to back order it later. It's just managing your inventory, managing your customer base, and it's kind of become a ministry now. It's really strange.
Yeah.
People will reach out to you and say, hey, do you have this dress in this size? I saw you advertise it. I saw it on your page. And then I can get it for you. Let me see. Give me about a week or something. And then it turns into, well, I lost this person and I'm so sad and I'm depressed. And you start ministering to these people. And it's like, what's happening? I thought I was just selling clothes.
Hmm.
But that's the glory of what God does for you. He's like,
Mhm.
all right, you think you're just selling clothes. I have one thrifting friend who wrote a book and she said, it's more than just clothes. That's the title of the book. It's more than just clothes. And it honestly is. I had to realize that. I think that was one of the big, that it is more than just clothes, that you're selling confidence to people. You're selling a lifestyle and to help them feel embodied, to help them feel strong and just
Mhm.
beautiful inside and out. So it
Yeah.
is more than just coming on and, oh, here's this outfit. No, you need to come with some zest. You need to come with some life. And sometimes that's the challenge. It's like, I don't feel like being happy on the screen. I don't
Yeah.
feel like doing it. And I've been transparent with my people. Listen, I had foot surgery last week. Listen, I've done this. Listen, we're renovating the house. So you hear the hammering, they're doing the roof, the shingles fell off. So I think being real, being transparent, listening to your customers are the biggest challenges you're ever going to face. But when you're just real with people, and for me, every day I post something inspirational that God is doing. Every day I try to post that to my audience, but I try to keep people motivated. And that's a challenge. It's a challenge keeping myself and others motivated to buy, to spend with me. There's 2,000 other resellers out there at a minimum, and anybody can shop anywhere. It's like going to the grocery store. You have the choice of Publix, Costco's, wherever. Why you would choose to come to me is because I'm trying to give you life, and I'm trying to give you life through God to say, hey, he loves you and you're going to look super and he's going to love you regardless of whether you buy from me. He's going to love
Okay. Awesome. Well, Sharon, thank you so much. Are there any last words or anything you want to share with the audience?
you. Yes, I would just say if you're an entrepreneur and you're just starting out there, stay with it, stay strong, pray every day, and just ask God's guidance for how you should flow with your business. He will definitely direct your paths. He will never lead you astray. If it's for you and he wants you in it, he will continue to bless you through it. So it's very simple. Just seek him in all things.
Okay. And one more time, let them know where they can find you.
Absolutely. So there's two ways to find me. I'm on Facebook as Fabulous Finds Boutique by Sharon, Fabulous Finds by Sharon Boutique. And then I have a webpage, Fabulous Fab Finds by Sharon. And then also for my books, you can find me on Tooson Town Publishing, Tooson, ToosonTownPublishing.com. And you can see the authors I've produced books with, as well as my books on there,
Okay.
and Amazon.
All right. Awesome, Sharon. Thank you so much for sharing.
Oh, it's been my
See you
pleasure,
around.
Betsy. Always great to talk with you again. Thank you so
All
much
right.
for the time.
Bye.
Bye.